Ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to today's video introducing our Swiss companies with the highest ESG scoring. And it's great to have you here. Sustainability issues have become increasingly important over the last couple of years. It's not only being discussed in the public, but especially in the investment world, it's getting more and more important. In particular, in the last couple of months and in the current environment, the topic of ESG is being discussed more and more intensively. We have three different factors which speak for that. Number one is that the climate change is becoming more and more obvious. The second is that our customers are demanding ESG and sustainable investment. And last but not least, government regulation promotes on the one hand side and demands on the other hand sustainable investments. That is why we at Vontobel have been considering how to integrate ESG criteria into our valuation process for Swiss companies. And our approach is the full integration. Our analysts evaluate 15 equally weighted indicators, each with sufficient materiality, using a 5-tier scale. And the result of this process is that this is added or subtracted from a company's assumed cost of capital. And I'm very happy that we have our analyst from Vontobel Research here with us today, who will explain you within the next couple of minutes more in details why the four companies, which are Givaudan, SGS, Logitech and Nestle, belong to the companies with the highest ESG scoring. And with that, over to you, please.
Thank you, Michael, for this introduction. And we are starting now with Givaudan, the market leader in flavors and fragrances. The market is an oligopoly. The four main companies account for roughly or nearly 2/3 of the market. Very strong companies with strong growth, as you can see on the chart. And you can see as well that Givaudan has improved or has accelerated its growth in the past years. And in the past quarters, in the past 18 months, we can see that Givaudan is really gaining market share versus the three other players. Very interesting markets with growth of between 4 and 5% for the players. This are now the new target for the plan, the new strategic plan 2025, between 4 and 5% organic growth, and as well free cash flow in excess of 12% per annum for 2025. You see as well the new strategy in a chart, very simply explained. I think this is very interesting from Givaudan, something very ambitious, something new as well, something innovative. And I think now sustainability is really integrated in this plan, in this purpose of the company, with as well aggressive targets in 2030, 2040, 2050. The trends in this industry and for Givaudan, of course, the growing demand, consumer base. You see more and more in the consumers are in the emerging markets. Of course, urbanization is playing a big role. Healthy food, healthy living is a good positive growth driver as well. Sustainability, we're talking about it. We'll come back to a later slide with that. And of course, now the pandemic is offering some interesting opportunities. And I refer as well this morning to Reckitt Beckkinser 9-month sales, which are really outstanding, more than 13% growth. And Givaudan is, of course, one of the main suppliers of Reckitt. That bodes well as well for the future growth of the company. The next slide, I think, is very interesting. Explain a bit Givaudan in the context of ESG, but as well in the context of innovation. Givaudan is investing nearly 10% of sales in R&D. This is more than $500 million in innovation and science-based products. Very interesting to see this chart. So Givaudan is really everywhere in that plant-based burger. And of course, this chart is showing as well that Givaudan is really integrating the past acquisitions. You can see in the green, this is the products from Naturex. So now this is one-time shop that Givaudan is operating, offering to the customers. I think next time you will eat a burger, it's going to be very interesting for you. You see how much it used to produce 100 grams of hamburger. And of course, the difference when you eat a soy burger, less water, less land, less carbon footprint, and of course, less energy. So I think this is definitely the future, a huge new addressable market for Givaudan and the competitors. ESG at Givaudan, the high score in our ESG assessment, and I think the new strategy was one of the main driver, and you can see in all the three letters, E, S, and G, they are really the market leader. I would probably highlight 2 points. The first one is the carbon emission. They want to be climate positive before 2040, and before 2050 they want to be carbon positive or climate positive in the whole supply chain, a very aggressive target. In terms of diversity, they want to reach 50% of senior leaders in the emerging markets, and as well 50% of women by 2030. I leave now the words to Logitech, to Michael, please.
Thank you very much, Jean-Philippe. We move over to Logitech, the company that ranks second in our ESG assessment. Logitech has a well-diversified portfolio of products which allow people to connect, collaborate, and create. These include mice, keyboards that everybody knows, but also webcams, headsets, and gaming products, and much more. The growth that Logitech is experiencing is driven by 3 pillars, in particular the proliferation of video everywhere, but also the need and wish of people to be productive and be creative, and that's in particular true for younger generations, and the success of online gaming. Now, the corona crisis has triggered fundamental changes in the way society and businesses function. And these changes have strongly accelerated the growth drivers, or all the growth drivers, for Logitech. In particular, work from home trends will persist in our view, at least in hybrid models, and this is triggering strong demand for mice, keyboards, headsets, and webcams, and Logitech has the perfect solutions for home office setups. Video collaboration is enabling or ensuring business continuity during the crisis, and it is also allowing to reduce business travel activity, and with that, reduce CO2 emissions. The remote education trend, or remote education in general, is becoming vital, as we have seen during the crisis. And finally, gaming is being boosted by lockdowns and the absence of large live events. And with the recent results of Logitech, we are having a proof of the acceleration of all these growth trends. In terms of sustainability, Logitech has a pervasive approach, and it's fully driven by top management. Products at Logitech are designed for sustainability according to a number of design principles, including longevity, reparability, end of life cycle, recyclability, and also emotional durability of the products. Logitech is striving to reduce the use of virgin plastics in its products. Already today, the production of Logitech is certified CO2 neutral, and recently Logitech has started to show the full life cycle carbon footprint of every product on the package of the product itself. The products of Logitech, or the use of Logitech products, in particular webcams and video communication solutions, allow for global emission reduction of CO2. And finally, Logitech is ranking high on the social scale, and especially with its recent pledge to make diversity a priority, and more specifically, this is done by supporting minority-owned suppliers in doing business with Logitech. And finally, Logitech also has amongst the highest diversity in its board amongst Swiss companies, and it is chaired by a woman. So Logitech ranked second in our ESG assessment, and with that, I hand back to Jean-Philippe for the next company.
Thanks, Michael. And we move on with Nestlé. I think you all know well the company, the biggest food and bev company in the world. Very nicely diversified in terms of geographies, nearly 50% in the Americas. The US account for roughly a quarter of sales. And of course, more interestingly, probably the well-balanced product portfolio, where you have like more than 50% of sales in high growth categories like coffee, nutrition, medical nutrition, and as well pet care, which was growing more than 13% in the first half. I think this trend is unbroken and will continue in the future. Of course, you know the brands from Nestlé, the global brands, which are really outperforming, and as well some local brands, you know, here in Switzerland, Tommy, for instance, or Henier. I would highlight maybe Illuma, a very new brand, which was like invented or just launched in the market 6 or 7 years ago, mainly in China. Infant food, or infant nutrition, and today already a brand with more than 1 billion in sales. That is joining now the club of 34 brands of Nestlé with more than 1 billion sales. Nestlé is very shareholders friendly, as you can see, more than 110 billions in the past 10 years in forms of dividends and share buybacks. The company just completed a program last year of 20 billion within 3 years, and now launched a new program of 20 billion as well for the coming 3 years. Already more than 5 billion were repurchased as we speak. So very aggressive and high pace of the buyback year to date. I would like to highlight something which is really symbolic to Nestlé, and you see probably the difference between the year 2015, 16, 17 and the past 3 years as we speak as well. We'll continue probably next year. The numbers of transactions increase significantly, more than 60 transactions accounting for roughly 14 billion of value. I think this is very interesting to see how Nestlé is reshaping the product portfolio into high growth category, high value added products. And you see as well some acquisitions and of course the disposals, and you see the names on the right side. It was rather low margin, low growth, or not really strategic assets. On the left side, of course, the high growth, high return on capital the companies. On the next slide, the ESG at Nestlé, it is really well embedded in the company and in the articles of association since 2008. And would highlight here one point, and I think, of course, under the leadership of Paul Bülke, the chairman, and Mr. Schneider, the CEO, I think they've been a massive improvement, and I think we can really feel the sense of urgency in the topic of ESG. And this highlight is the investments of more of 2 billion in trying to find some solutions in the packaging, and they founded 2 years ago the Institute of Packaging Science, and I think we'll see more news flow here, but you have as well numerous initiatives in the different regions, in the different product categories. From Nestlé, we're moving on as well to SGS, based in Geneva. SGS is the market leader in the TIC sector, testing, inspection, and certification. As you can see here, you have some other players. The market is very fragmented, and you see as well that the sector, or the growth in the sector, has slowed down quite significantly in the past years. Main reason for that, the slowdown in the commodities. Very interesting to see at SGS new CFO. He started in spring 2019 with a very aggressive approach, EVA based, and of course made a very quick assessment of all the business units. And you can see they split now in different categories. 10% already divested, and of course you see some other which will improve. Of course, maybe they will make some phasing out. So I think it's a very aggressive approach, attractive approach of portfolio management. As for Nestlé, SGS is shareholders friendly as well. You can see that 2015 to 2018, SGS was returning 100% of its free cash flow back to the shareholders. It is likely to change with the new strategic plan or the new organization. We have now a new chairman, as said, the new CFO, and probably some additional new member of the boards, as the Foeth family reduced their stake from 15% last year to 0% beginning of the year. So I think more reshuffling of the boards, more reshuffling as well in the Operation Council, likely to reduce the number of the members from more than 20 to something more short or smaller team. In terms of value creation, I was alluding to that reduction of the structural costs, 100 million cost savings. I think this is a very significant number for the SGS. More active portfolio management. I expect more disposals in the coming months, and as well for the cash optimization. The CFO Dominique de Daniel has a fantastic track record at Adecco. We expect as well as for Nestlé more acquisitions down the road or in the coming months. And I think we will see that probably already in the fourth quarter of this year. As for Givaudan, as for Nestlé, SGS will launch as well a new strategic plan. It was due in November, but because of the COVID, it will be launched in May next year. And we expect here some aggressive targets, new targets, of course, as well, including some ESG aspects, more probably services into ESG. And here I was highlighting some elements on ESG. I think they will massively improve in terms of internal corporate governance and as well in terms of gender on top level positions. I think very interesting for SGS, they are very active themselves, but of course they are like a service provider and offering companies and their clients some ESG solutions or how the companies can improve their ESG rating. This is for Swiss stocks, which has the highest ranking. Thanks a lot.
With that, we are already at the end of our video. I would like to thank again Jean-Philippe Bertschy and Michael Foeth for all this information, and I hope you found it helpful in your investment decision. If you have any questions or remarks, then please feel free to contact us, your relationship manager or investment specialist at Vontobel. Thank you very much for watching and have a good day. Bye bye.